So, good night or good morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude in the Couch. Tonight, I'm interviewing, it's something different. I'm interviewing Ryan Peter from the record label Been There, Seen That. And they're a record label that does something very unique. What they do is they take bands that release music a few years ago through MySpace, but didn't release it like physically. And they are physically releasing those albums. Plus, they have newer, more underground bands too that they release. So, Ryan, thank you for taking your time to talk with me tonight. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm good. I've just been, enjoying the weather. Got the dogs outside, and preparing for this Friday's drop.
Yes, I'm gonna show a picture of that. I know you're dropping an album for a band called Cholera. So here's
Yes.
the album is called Death Awaits. I see that you're gonna have for this Friday 200 hand numbered copies of this one. So looking at the artwork for this, I'm guessing they're a very are they like a grindcore band?
No, they might have a little bit of a grind influence, but their main their main shtick there is like the deathcore genre. But the vocals are very harsh, especially on the older stuff. That this is what like this particular release I'm doing is a little more on the their older stuff before they're signed to Compton Records, so it's a little more harsh sounding. The vocals are very they're pretty chaotic. So there's definitely some influences, but I'd say their main deal is deathcore.
Okay. So yeah, this is an album, so people can want to get it, would get it this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'll obviously post this before that time, so people who watch this video know to get that new release. So
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about how, what was the, first of all, when did you form this record label?
That was well, I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary in November. So November 2019, I guess, I think would be 2019 or sorry, maybe 2020.
Okay. So yeah, you started writing in the thick of the pandemic. So
Yeah.
how did you get this idea? Because it is a very unique idea to release those unreleased music from the MySpace era, that bands that just release music. What inspired you to do this?
Well, originally, actually, I worked with a previous label that does the same idea, but on vinyl. And I kind of worked as their I don't know the exact term for it, but I know a lot of bands from back then, just from networking and stuff, and being a part of a lot of MySpace groups, or Facebook groups dedicated to like MySpace era deathcore and stuff. So I'd book them a lot of bands, and they would press them and what have you. But then I'm not really a wax kind of guy. So during the pandemic, in the summer, I left there, and then I originally was going to be just doing merch. So I did a run of merch for a Texas band, and they're a grind band from Texas called $25 Massacre. They're one of my favorite bands. And I was talking to the drummer. He was like, he had lost his job because of the pandemic and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to help him out and make a run of shirts, sell them, give them all the money after I break even, and then just to help them out. And I thought, I'm going to kind of do that with merch. So that was the kind of the first idea. And then I was like, well, why don't I just do CDs? And then, the merch thing's cool, but I find maybe CDs can be like, something a little bigger. Like I can make more of them. There's more want, I think, for CDs and stuff. And, that's one of my big collections is collecting CDs and merch from this era. So then I thought, let me just think of, a label name. And then honestly, the label name came up really fast and really easy. Just like the first thing that popped in my head was that. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll call it that. And I knew, and I reached out to a handful of bands that I thought would do really well. and that I really personally enjoyed from back then and still do. And then I as I noticed bands kind of being like, yeah, that's cool, yeah, that's cool, yeah, let's do that. Then I kind of just was like, oh, I think this is it. Like, so that's like, yeah, that's pretty much how it started. I lost my job from COVID, and then during COVID I kind of started this, and then now this is like my main thing, so it's how I pay my bills, and I also pay the band members and everything too. So it worked out better than I thought. So
No,
yeah.
it's a really cool idea, and a lot of people are reinventing themselves in this hard time. So it's
Yeah.
cool that you got to do that. And I got one of the CDs that you put out, I think 2 weeks ago. I got the Here's Everyone, the Sterling
Yeah.
album. I had an
Yeah.
interview with these guys, and this is a kick-ass release. Like very well, but they were they around for the MySpace era or
No. So what happened there was actually I watched the interview a few days ago that you did with Sterling. I really enjoyed it. But so I started doing not a lot of yet, but a few bands that are new but have that kind of MySpace sound, because a lot of them are like, overproduced. I find that the new deathcore scene is a little bit on the overproduced kind of like, let's get our crazy vocals and breakdowns. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of doesn't hit the same as it did, back then. So there was a few bands that I was interested in working with, and I was toying with the idea for a few months. And I thought, what, let's try and do a release for a new band to see how that goes. If it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So there's this band from America called Venetia Fatalities. And they put out an EP a while back on a Europe label. But they wanted to work with me. So I said, okay, let's do that. And actually the same artist that did that artwork, Corey, he's the same one that did the Sterling artwork that you got there. So I did those, and they sold really well. And I gave the band half of them. They kept all that money, and they did really well. And they ended up doing shirts, and so I started reaching out to more bands that I really enjoyed and stuff. So I did them. I did a band called Infinity Land, which is a little bit outside of the deathcore realm. They're more of like a sludgier Daughters, if you're familiar with Daughters. You got
more stuff. I got this was also on the golden ticket for the Sterling. And
there's only 25 of those made, so that's pretty cool. You got one.
Oh yeah, I'll keep this. Maybe I'll keep it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, so you're working on those more underground bands. If you had like a band that more different of that sound, like more alternative or a different sound, would you consider that type of bands also?
It depends on, I guess, their legacy. I did do like a post-hardcore emo type band from Canada. They're from Toronto, but they were a favorite of mine from back then, called Boys Night Out. They were on Ferret Records. They had 3 or 4 releases through Ferret Records. They just put an EP in 2013 through Good Fight. But they had Forge Again Records did a release on vinyl with all their old stuff, like their out of print demo, and then their EP, and then like a couple bonus songs that they found. So that band was way outside of the realm of been there, seen that. But being as it's one of my favorite bands of like all time, I reached out and just thought, if this happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it won't. And I reached out to the vocalist, and he said, I love the idea. Let's do CDs. And it happened. And that was just for me to be like, hell yeah. Like in 2006, I was jamming them. And now 2021, at that point, 2021, I'm releasing their music. It was like a full circle thing. So I wouldn't block the idea out. It would just depend on how big they were back then, because I find the MySpace deathcore revival is very big, but like anything else is a little bit other than like the more emo screamo stuff like Take Him Back Sunday, The Used, like all those bands, like that's also like getting bigger. Like kids are kind of finding those bands out, and like the older crowds kind of having a revival of that. But there's certain genres that I feel like just don't really have a good like the revival's not as big, so it's a more touchier subject. But I've had that question a few times. There's a lot of people that recommend me some really good like old metalcore bands and stuff like that. But again, the metalcore scene, I just don't think is as bumping right now. It is, but it's not as big as like the deathcore stuff, where I think that's like full throttle right now. So I think that's like, in the forefront of everybody's face. So
Yeah.
but I'm not close to the idea. Short answer, no, I'm not close to it. It would just really depend on who it was.
And who the band, and if you're passionate about them. So I saw that there was a band that you sent the CDs and they came back to you. Blood.
Yeah.
So you have those CDs back, so you have those in stock, right?
Yeah. Well, that was my March release. The band was is a Texas band called Blood Over Enemies. And it was
there it is.
Oh yeah, okay. I was wondering, it was circling there and it went all black. Yeah, so that release there, Blood Over Enemies. It was out of 150, and I sold 75 in my store, and then the other 75 the band wanted to sell to locals, and which is fine with me. They keep all that money. So I sold out of mine within a couple of days, and then I shipped them March 12th, and I already pre-made the labels at home and what have you, and I dropped them off at the back of the post office because I had so many. It was 2 releases I was dropping off because I did them all at once. So they said, okay, we'll go to the back and just drop them off. So I dropped them off, and everybody got their stuff from the other release, but this box didn't show up. And I waited 30 something days, and they hadn't even moved. It still said they were waiting at the post office, like waiting to be dropped off, which they already were, right? So long story short, I put on a raffle to make some extra money, and I rebought all the missing ones and shipped them out. Otherwise I would have to pay for it out of my own pocket and stuff. So I kind of softened the blow with that. So I shipped all the replacements, everybody got them. And then a few days ago, this giant box shows up of all the missing CDs, which is weird because I shipped them in Michigan, in Detroit, because I live 10 minutes from the border. So there's no label on it or nothing. And they showed up in my Canada home. So it's really bizarre. I don't know how they got here or who dropped them off or what, but yeah. So now I have even more CDs, and now it's really been a headache.
No,
but,
yeah.
I got them now. I have them on the site for $10 instead of 15. Because honestly, I just want to kind of get rid of them because the band still got some of their copies left. Now I got another like 50 something here, and now I'm like, I don't know what to do with them. So I put them up for cheap, and I'm hoping people just kind of buy them with other releases and stuff, or I hit up a couple different distributors and see if they want to buy them in bulk for cheaper and kind of sell them in their store too. So yeah, I'm hoping something happens because now I just got a giant box of CDs that nobody wants.
But at least they showed up on your doorstep and not somewhere else. So
well, that's a plus too. But at that point, before they showed up, I was already over it. Like I already replaced them. It was all done, and then these MIA ones come showing up, and now I'm like, oh, now I got to relive this whole drop all over again and wonder what I'm going to do with these. So, at some point I'll probably give some away or, put them up for even cheaper if they don't sell. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to haunt my dreams for a while, this band.
Sorry about that. So we're seeing here, so people can see, this is the page of Being There, Seeing That record label where you can get shirts. I see there's some Cholera shirts there that are coming out soon.
Yep.
There's the Blood of My Enemies, the Split with the Serling and the other bands. There's some keychains.
Yes.
The Serling one sold out. Serling sold pretty fast. And
Serling sold out quite quickly. I think it took a couple days, maybe. I think by 24 hours, I think they were sold out, if I recall. So, most of them are sold out except for, I think, Crush or Destroy. I have like 5 left. Yeah. A Ride to Moscow, I got maybe 2 left. Other than that, everything else sold out. And then now I have Blood Over Enemies coming out of my wazoo, but
But at least they're selling, And I wore this T-shirt because since we were talking about MySpace, like never forget.
Yeah.
This-
It's funny. It's funny you do that. I'll take this off here, but there's all my horror movies. There's a bunch of VHS tapes all there and a
yeah.
bunch of DVDs. So I'm also a big collector of like movies too on VHS and stuff like that. I used to have a really crazy collection, but I kind of fell out of it and I sold a lot of my rare stuff. It's just hard to keep up with, CDs, merch, movies. I'm like, I'm running out of room. So I kind of simmered on the, kind of slowed down on the movie stuff, but
Yeah, there's
yeah.
so many stuff that, maybe kids nowadays, everything's so streaming and digital that they wouldn't get what it was like to the excitement of going and buying that record.
Yeah, I feel like the kids nowadays kind of get robbed of, the excitement of going to a store,
the experience.
after school or something. I used to take the bus to the mall and drop days and, go grab the newest album of a band I liked and then, get home and unwrap it and read all the lyrics while listening to it and the thank yous. That was one of my favorite parts was, and I found so many bands in the thank you sections, when bands thanked other bands, I would read them and any sort of band name that popped out that kind of seemed cool or, unique and, so that's the kind of part where I feel like the kids now get kind of robbed of that experience, I guess. Which is a bummer because I personally loved it. You know what I mean? I used to go to the mall every Friday when I was in high school, and my parents would give me $20 allowance, and I usually just bought a CD whether I wanted it or if I just read it and it looked like it had cool song titles and a cool band name. I would buy it, and I found some of my favorite bands to this day doing it that way, just buying it on a whim.
Yeah,
I'm
the same way. I remember just like picking a CD. I'm like, oh, that's a cool cover and a cool name.
Right.
I would buy it, and sometimes they were good. Usually, if they had a cool cover, they were good. So
yeah,
it all depended on the band. So growing up for you, what were your favorite bands?
Like when I got into actual like music on my own and not just whatever my parents played. My parents back then when I was a kid played a lot of country. So I grew up listening to like Shania Twain and Garth Brooks and all that stuff. So and then whatever else was on the radio, but that was like their big thing. But and my dad was big into like Kiss is his favorite band and stuff like that. So a little bit of the heavier side, but not heavy. But when I first started getting into actual music, I was very into the this was probably 99 2000 is when I started kind of getting way more into like my own stuff and finding MTV. So I really got into bands like Limp Bizkit, like Deftones, Korn, Green Day, just all those bands that are playing a lot on there. And then that's how it kind of back then that's kind of how it started, right? I kind of always been into like more aggressive music, I guess. But then when I really got into my own, Deftones still to this day is one of my favorites, but I also was they're great. I only seen them one time in 2005 at the Taste of Chaos. And
I've never seen them. I actually was going to see Deftones in 2006 where they were doing the Family Values tour. And I went with a friend of mine from Puerto Rico. I was living in Puerto Rico at the time, so we went to New York. But the day of the concert, there was a storm. And the concert was in a venue right next to the sea, so it got flooded. So it got canceled. So I to this day, I still haven't been able to see Deftones.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
that's a bummer.
Hopefully soon.
I hope so. They're on tour now, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on tour with Gojira.
I think.
They're not coming near me, so
that's a bummer.
Yeah, but like we were saying before, kids nowadays, they're missing that experience because it was fun. I love going to a record store and just going through the bins and
I still do that. Like when I go on vacation, I always sniff out a few record stores that have CDs, and there's been times where I'll sit on the floor and just go under their Yeah, there's just sometimes they'll have like a bunch of CDs under the actual record, like the records are all on the shelves on the, what I mean, flip through them. And then
Mhm.
underneath is usually like bins of CDs, and I'll sit on the floor and I'll just dig for hours and just find, what I mean, let's find whatever I like and buy whatever I need and want. So I still do that. It's still a lot of fun. And then the owner will come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're doing some deep digging down there, eh? Sorry for all the dust because no one buys CDs." And I'm like, "Well, that's what I'm here for. I'll get the dust off
Yeah,
for you."
you're going again. Everyone's getting vinyl now,
Yeah.
and you're doing the opposite. And
Yeah, they're trying to walk around me on the floor like, "Hey man, hey CD guy, get up off the floor and let me find my vinyl." So no, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It's like a little treasure hunt, Sometimes you leave empty-handed, and sometimes you leave with a lot of cool stuff.
no, yeah, that is very true. And I remember when I had the CD, the case that you would bring on the car, the black case, and you put all the CDs there with the card, with
Yep.
the,
Yep.
back then
Like
the
the little sticky
struggle.
wallets.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yeah, I
used to
remember.
have a few.
The only time I ever used one of those was when like we went on family vacations, and I'll bring my Discman, and I would just put all the CDs in, and then I would take all the booklets out and stuff. Because what I had an old Tony Hawk, 'cause I was a skateboarder, and I had an old Tony Hawk
Mhm.
one, and the front had a slit where you could put all the booklets in it. So I
Oh,
put all the
cool.
booklets in it, so that way when on long trips I would read, listen to the music, and kind of kill some time. But
Yeah.
yeah, otherwise I'm very particular with like keeping my stuff together. Like I never, I'm not one of those people that leaves all my CDs in their car, or like has like a booklet on my visor with all this stuff. Like I
Oh no,
have them all.
I never put the booklets on the Pfizer. I thought that was tacky as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have friends that do that, and then like they pull out a CD, it looks like a dog's chew toy, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's scratched, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't even play anymore. Like it's
Yeah.
just so damaged. So yeah, I'm very like particular in keeping everything kind of in good shape the best I can.
How many CDs do you have?
I never fully counted, but I would say, oh, I don't know, a couple thousand probably.
Do
um
you put them like in alphabetical order or?
no, right. Well, when I moved out, I didn't have room to kind of display so much that they're all in just like big bins, like big rubber made tin bins. And I think I got at least three like oversized ones that have probably 500 in each, and then a bunch of smaller ones that are filled. I probably got like 6 or 7 of these. Well, probably 6 big bins
Yeah.
filled with CDs.
All my
Yeah.
CDs stayed back in my parents' house in Puerto Rico. I think that I lost most of them, but I had a huge collection. But I really got into music in the '90s, so I had a lot of like alternative,
Yeah.
metal, grunge, different type of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I bought when I was growing up. I just started doing like vinyl like now recently, because when I was growing up, no one bought vinyl. Everyone bought CDs, and then
Yeah.
we switched to the streaming, and it's a circle. So
Yeah.
what advice would you have for someone who would want to start a record label?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I guess in my sense, sometimes I wonder if I'm like, I guess I'm a record label, but like in a different sense, you know what I mean? Like when I think of record labels, I go, okay, Ferret Records signed bands, funded their tours, their CDs, their merch, all that stuff, and promotion, and did all that stuff where I'm just kind of doing like like a wham bam, you know, on to the next one. Because every other Friday I do a drop, right? So it's a little different. So it's kind of hard to be like, here, take advice from me when I'm not like, I'm not like, I guess I wouldn't say I'm a full blown record label. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Um,
independent. Yeah.
yeah. So, but like, if you're trying to start something in the sense of like what I'm doing, you know what I mean? Like just kind of doing like quick little represses and getting collectors cool stuff and bands. Like, yeah, I guess just for one, make sure there's like a want for it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I see some people just try and start stuff and people aren't really interested. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Other than that, like, yeah, just do it for the love, not for the, you know what I mean, not for like, you know, the popularity or the money or something. You know what I mean? Like I love CDs. I love this era of music. Like you know, it's just it's a bonus that I'm getting paid to do something that I love. But I just love being able to put something out that meant so much to me and to a lot of these people that you know, I can look back and be like, oh yeah, I repressed Winds of Plague's old CD. You know what I mean? 10 years I can be like, yeah, I repressed that for them. You know, Winds of Plague was such a big band.
Yeah, I remember that band when I saw the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm, you know what I mean? Just I feel like people can really tell when someone's doing it for the love and someone's doing it just to kind of get their, you know, line their pockets and, you know, look cool online or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't care what people think. I just want them to buy the stuff and enjoy it. And you know, that's just me and me as a collector going, you know, how much it means to me when I find that cool CD and I go, hell yeah, you know, it may cost me a lot of money, but I have it now. Like now they can get these CDs that are either never happened or, you know, like the Winds of Plague, the original press that goes like $200-300, you know. So now, you know, I made 250 of them. So those 250 people have got to buy it for a cheap price and enjoy it and still have it as a physical, you know. So yeah, I don't know, just that's my, I think just doing it for the love of it is the big thing. I think people, when they recognize that, I think people will stay in for the long haul and kind of, you know, stick by your side. I have a lot of people that stuck by my side from day one and still buy my stuff, you know, religiously. So I don't know. I think that's a cool. I hope that helps somebody. I don't know.
No, yeah, yeah, it's cool, and it you can really tell that you're doing it because of genuine love for the music. So it's like I was when I started this channel back in December, I was thinking about it for a long time, and I'm like, I'll do it. And you know, yeah, I do it because I love, you know, talking about music, and interviewing bands or different people. I think it's interesting,
Yeah.
and maybe when I get more viewers, I'll do some merch. I can do like a Shield Dude in a shirt, the Shield on a couch shirt.
That would be cool. I mean, merch definitely helps too, right? If people want it, they'll buy it, and then it gives you a little extra. And yeah,
Yeah,
a good idea.
yeah, that's something for the future that I'm thinking. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it should be cool to have some merch and some shirt. For now, just, you know, build an audience, and the people that will like it will come. So
that's
yeah. So let's remind the people. There's the album that this Friday people need to get it. I'm gonna show the picture again here of Cholera. Death Awaits. You can get this one this Friday at 3 p.m. 200 copies.
yep.
So yeah, you can get them. I think you can get them with a shirt too, right?
Oh yes, we have like a regular, just a shirt that's an old design of OG classic that they had back then. That's not limited, but then we have that baseball shirt that is only limited to 20, and on the back of it, it's gonna have whoever buys it, like you can put your own personal last name on it, so it's like your own shirt.
This one's the shirt.
Yeah, so where it says your name, you could put, you know, if your last name is, you know, Smith, then it's gonna say Smith on the back, and it's gonna be customized to you. And it's basically like a one of one. Like it's, you know, there won't be another one out there with that last name. So I think it's pretty cool. When I pitched it to the band, they were like, dude, I don't think anybody's ever really done that before. It's kind of sick. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. It's a lot more work and a lot more for my artist. I feel bad because now I'm gonna make 20 different last names and font and stuff, and the printer too. So they're gonna cost a little more just because there's a lot more labor involved. Plus it's two-sided, but I think people will enjoy it. I think it's a cool shirt, cool idea. So
yeah, it's a cool. It looks like a baseball.
yeah,
Like a
so
baseball
it's
shirt,
kind
yeah.
of like they're from Ohio, from Cleveland, and this is
Nice.
the band is, or sorry, the team is Cleveland Guardians, and that's their logo there. So we took that logo and made it cholera, and then the pentagram logo underneath actually is their logo, but it's a circle, it's like a ball, but they wanted a pentagram instead.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
kind of a play on their favorite team from their hometown. So it's So yeah, it's an actual like baseball, but it's just been like, it's been spoofed by us to make it into a band shirt.
It's cool. It's cool, and yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. And when I was talking to Sterling, and they gave props to you, I'm like, I felt like, yeah, I wanna talk to Ryan and get more about like how you decided, to create this independent record label and do something that you're helping bands that never got to release some music physically. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. And I remember discovering bands back in the day, MySpace, because it
Yeah.
was cool. You would MySpace was great for discovering music, and you could put the songs on your profile.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nostalgic, and you got your first friend, Tom. He didn't ask anything from you. He didn't want to ban you like Mark Zuckerberg does in Facebook. So yeah, Tom was a nice guy.
You definitely got away with a lot more on MySpace, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember there was even a shirt that said from MySpace to my place or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I feel like I've seen that shirt before, actually.
Yeah, I think I think a friend of mine had that shirt that it said from MySpace.
I mean,
to my
I met a
place.
lot of friends on MySpace, a lot of, you know what I mean, and a lot of bands and stuff. But yeah, you definitely can. It was almost like your 2000s sort of alternative dating website too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it
I met
was
a lot of girls.
pre-Tinder.
Yeah, right, exactly. Pre Tinder and pre Spotify all in one. So it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
definitely a time.
It was like like a music and Tinder built into one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. You can listen, you can find your next favorite band and your future wife at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know about I didn't meet my wife there, but
Yeah, well, I was or at least like a girlfriend for a couple months.
yeah. So that makes sense. So Ryan, it's been great talking to you. Great finding out how this passion of yours turned into your actual job. And everyone support being there, seeing that. If you want to find more underground bands, different styles, pick there. This is where I found Serling. If you haven't seen the interview, check them out. Unfortunately, if you're seeing this is sold out. So I have it, you don't. But this Friday, get the Colorado one. And so you put like almost every Friday, you have new releases, almost
So
religiously every Friday.
so like every other Friday is a drop. So this Friday's a drop. Next Friday I'll announce a new band, and then the Friday after that I'll drop that previous band, and then so on and so forth. Yeah. So every other Friday is a drop, and then the opposite Friday is the announcement for that drop.
Nice. So I'll put the link here for the being there, seeing that, so people want to enter, buy some merch, buy some T-shirts, or just follow you on Facebook and on the different Instagram, so they can keep in touch of what the record label is doing. You
Yeah.
can go there,
That'll
and
be. Thank
yeah.
you.
So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, maybe one day I had a band and we had some crappy songs, but maybe we should send you the demo so you can see if we're worthy.
That would
No,
be. I mean, alone I would want to. I like hearing people's old bands, so even just to listen to them would be fun. But
we were terrible, man. We played like songs for goofing around. I think we had a song about I went to Amsterdam in 2006, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and this guy is trying to offer me cocaine, and he's like, hey, dude, do you want some cocaine? And I'm like, and I looked at my watch. I'm like, man, it's 8 a.m. And he kept bugging me. Oh, when do you want it? When do you want it? And then I said to him, I want it after brunch. So we had a song called Cocaine After Brunch.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What kind of music was it?
It was a straight rip-off of System of a Down. That's what it
Perfect.
sounded like a bad Serge Tankian, but it was catchy. and we did it just for fun. And we
Yeah.
were, yeah, it was just for goofing around. So, but yeah, it was fun. So, people, if you want to discover some music from the MySpace era that you may have forgotten about, or you're like, hey, I remember those guys, check out Being There, Seeing That record label, get yourself some merch, and maybe, you can discover things that you didn't know that existed. So, Ryan, thank you again for taking some time to talk with me.
Thank you.
And wish you success with the record label. It's a cool idea, and I think people will be drawn to it because you can tell that you're doing it because of love of the music, and it's genuine, and I think that translates. So
Thank you. I
again,
appreciate
you're welcome. So thank you for taking time to talk with me, and people, until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude in the Couch, and I'll see you right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.
See ya.